Like many of you, we battle depression during life's ups and downs.
Music has always been the one thing that we could rely on to get us through the tough times that we all face.
Follow us on our journey as we discuss the healing power of music,
Interview bands,
break down genres,
review band biographies,
and more.
This is the When Words Fail
Music Speaks podcast
with Blake Mosley
and James Cox. Hey everybody, welcome back to When Words Fail Music Speaks podcast, where we fight depression with the power of music. I'm your professional handicapped host, James Cox. And I have such a great guest. We met through a mutual friend of mine, but let me tell you about her first and then we'll have her on. So it's Hana Kahn. Did I say it right?
You did. Yes. Nailed it.
Great, because last time I called you Hannah, which I do apologize for that. So
that's okay.
Okay. So when Hana was 5, she knew she wanted to be to sing and be on stages forever. The dining room table was her stage at the time, but the performance pictures in Hana's head was much more fabulous than she said. She said that. So by the time Hana was 8, she found herself auditioning for a theater. When Hana made her debut in the ensemble of Fiddler on the Roof, learned the baton for Hello Dolly. She said she wished she remembers how to do those tricks. and made her way to the lead role of Rosie in Bye Bye Birdie by 13. By the time of high school, Hana earned a Tammy, T-A-M-Y, nomination for performance in Rent, and trained extensively in opera to perform as Carlotta and Phantom of the Opera. These days, you can find her performing live around the country, releasing Powerhouse's pop songs like Limitless and Thrivers. You can also hear her, you can find her rising up with her new England and Boston Music Award Pop Artist of the Year nominations. I'll tell you that was back in the day, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you can find her music in films like Becky and This Is My Brave documentary, which I will link at the bottom because that's a fantastic speech that you gave to them. Hey, Hana, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I almost called you Hannah again. I'm sorry.
That's okay. No worries.
Yeah, so I met you through a mutual friend, Allison.
Yes.
For anybody listening, she has a podcast on everywhere called Allison in Wonderland, and we met through. And I'm so glad that you're here today because I met you like 2 days ago doing a pre-screening, and I fell in love with you then. So thank you once again for coming on.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So what is your favorite genre? Because I know you are a pop singer. Is that correct? Or
that is correct. Yes. Yeah. I get this question all the time, and I wish I had a better answer. I don't listen to a ton of music. I have this one playlist, and it's called Awesome, and it just has any song I've ever heard that I think is awesome. So it's a compilation of a ton of different genres. I think I mentioned to you the first time that we spoke, musical theater, I think is what I have to go with as my answer because it's just so ingrained in me. And I'll lump Disney songs into that category. Disney is also just any of the classic animated musical films are
great. Yeah.
Classic. Amazing.
Well, the reason why I asked you that is because me and my friend were talking about this the other day, me and my co-host Blake, and we were doing we were talking about one artist, and he fits the mold for like 23 some genres. And I don't find some genres to be very good, because one star can be one band can be like listed as 5 genres, and I don't like that. What do you think about like some genres? Do you think they need to go away, or do you think they need to?
I'm neutral. I think it depends. Sometimes I'll see bands that come up with a subgenre that I've never heard before, and it doesn't necessarily. I think if you have a subgenre, It should be to help explain your sound, help people hear it when they think of your band. And if you just have a subgenre that you've made up for yourself that nobody's ever heard of, I don't know that it's necessarily helpful. That being said, when people ask me what my music is like, I call it Broadway pop, which is
Mm.
a label that I haven't necessarily heard before. So I think subgenres have a place. I think you're right that if you're molding yourself into 20 different genres, it's too hard to figure out who you actually are as an artist, as a listener.
Yeah, because I think, well, yeah, you're right. Because yeah, I mean, you're right on all accounts. So, um, and our last, okay, so you and I have a very fond likeness for musicals. We talked extensively last time we talked. Did you check out Repo Man, the genetic opera?
No, I didn't. I
Oh, okay.
haven't yet. I haven't yet. It is on my list now, my movies list. Yeah. Yeah. But
So,
I haven't yet.
so what would be your favorite musical of all time?
Wicked.
What
Wicked for sure. Yeah.
have you seen it play?
Yes, it was my first Broadway show that I ever saw. So
Right.
I think that's a big part of why it has a very special place for me. It is on my bucket list to play Elphaba, the lead, at some on Broadway at some point in my life. I heard that there's a certain height that she has to have that apparently I am shorter than. I refuse to accept that this is true. Have not fact checked it. Heard it on TikTok. I don't know if it's true for sure, but I really hope it's not because I'm
TikTok
5
is
feet tall and I really want to play Alphabet on
yeah.
Broadway. So
Right. Well, TikTok is a very I think toxic place. So I don't
I
think it's
agree
true.
with you.
I don't
I
think it's
agree with
true.
you.
I find TikTok to be very, very well, it's good for getting your name out there, but it's also uh very false advertising sometimes. So I'm not really sure if that's true or not. So please don't take that with a grain of salt, you know. Um,
I agree very much. I feel very conflicted about TikTok pretty much all the time because as someone who creates content, I think it works really well for building community and building a following. As a consumer, I have to delete it all the time because I'll find myself scrolling through it for hours and it hurts. It hurts my brain. It's so much information. Like you said, a lot of it can be misinformation. Even if it's not misinformation, there are just only so many times that you can swipe and swipe and swipe for hours
right.
until it becomes unhealthy for your brain. So I go back and forth on it all the time.
Well, you have a profession marketeering, right? I mean,
Yes, yeah.
okay, so uh, so which for anybody out there that wants to know this, um, which platform do you think is the best and which one is the worst for getting your name out there? Because I know you, I guess you tried all of them, right?
Yeah, it really depends on your niche. One thing to think about is who you're marketing to. Where are they? If you're marketing to a teenage audience, TikTok is probably the best place for you. If you are marketing to video gamers, people on Twitch who stream, Twitter is a really great platform to communicate there. So it really depends on the platform, but I would say focus on one, maybe two at a time. Think about where your market is and then focus on one or two. Don't try to put yourself over all of the platforms. You'll get burnt out and not everyone that you're looking for will be on all of those platforms.
I guess that's our main mistake is I'm focusing on three when I should be focused on two. So that's very helpful. Thank you for that.
Are you growing the 3 at the same time, or do you feel that there are platforms that you're comfortable with already?
I am growing my Facebook and my Instagram. TikTok, I'm not. Because I heard you have to at least post like 3 or 4 times a day on TikTok to get noticed.
That is not
I'm like,
true. That's not true. I
I know
hear
'cause-
people say that. Maybe to go viral, I have no idea, but about 2 months ago, I decided to commit to posting every day to every other day, just once.
Yeah.
And I have a mental health channel and a music channel. And
Yeah.
on my mental health channel, my following has grown by 150 people.
Nice.
And on my music channel, my following has grown by just under 100 people. So if you're trying to go viral really quickly, probably not the best method, but I think that that's a great rate to be growing. And I do not post 3 to 4 times a day.
I
So,
don't even have that kind of time
right,
to do
right.
anything like that, because I work, come home, focus on this, all the time I'm focused on this podcast. But I don't really have time to. Yeah, I do focus. I do focus on Facebook, at least once or twice every other day. So I guess that's good. So
Yeah.
so uh you okay? So I wanted to ask you, can you still do tricks with the baton?
I cannot still do tricks with the baton.
Oh.
Maybe someday. Maybe someday. Alas, not currently.
I wonder if that's like getting, because because you hear the saying, it's just like riding a bicycle. Once you do it, you'll never forget, right?
Yep.
You
Yep.
find that, do you find that to be, would you find that to be true with the baton if you picked that up and started,
I don't know. I think there are probably one or two tricks that I remember in theory how to do. Would I be able to do them if I picked up a baton? I don't know.
right? Yeah, we'll see when you pick that back up and
Yes,
okay.
exactly.
Yeah, so in my introduction, we learned that you were a part of Fiddler on the Roof, Hello Dolly, and Phantom of the Opera, as in Bye Bye Birdie. Which okay, so you wanted to be in musicals since the age of 5, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
So okay, so when out of those 4 that I listed, which ones were you most wanting to get? As opposed to, I mean, was one you're, oh my god, I'm here,
Yeah. The first several that I was in a few between the ages of 8 and 13. I think I was young enough at that point that I was just really excited to be in the chorus of a show and wasn't really thinking about it as something that I was actively aspiring to. Bye Bye Birdie for me was definitely the first show that was very, very meaningful. It was my first time getting a lead and the lead in the
right,
show. So that was really, really huge for me. And that was a defining point of, okay, from this point on, this is very clearly my trajectory and my passion. Phantom was the best show that I've been in, I think, because I was older. I was 17 at that point, and it was the first amateur licensed production of Phantom. And I had the incredible privilege of working with a Broadway choreographer and director. So it was a really great segue into Broadway, which I never ended up actually really pursuing. But at the time, I had thought that I would, and the opportunity to train in opera and to be in a show like that, I think impacts me to this day.
yeah. So did you okay? So 5, you knew you wanted to be on stage at Forever. Before the age of 5, did you want to be something else? Because I know I wanted to be like a ton of things. I'm like, when I grow up, I'm gonna be this, this, and this. Um, at the age of 2 to 4, did you have any aspirations to be something else, and then you found music and that took
I
over?
did. I did. I imagine, I'm not totally sure now. I imagine that Bye Bye Birdie when I was 13 was the point where everything shifted toward music for me. I loved and wanted to be in music forever, but I also was a gymnast ages 3 to 12. So there was a point where I wanted to do that professionally. And I remember being in the first grade and really wanting to play basketball and realizing that I would never be tall enough
Yeah,
to do it.
yeah. Because The hoop is what, like 10 feet off the air, right? Or something.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Something very tall.
Extremely tall, yeah. Muggsy Bogues, he was like 5'1" and he playing in the professional league. So I mean, you know,
It's possible. That is one of my mantras now, is that everything is possible. At
yes.
the time, I limited myself by not believing that I could do it. That's okay because music ended up working out for me very well, but who knows? Could have been a basketball star. We'll never know.
So I okay, so I really want to know about this because you work with some people and I want to find out who okay, so I really liked Fire uh from Puppy Life, and you were featured. That song is literally figuratively fire.
Fire,
Honestly,
yeah.
because again, you know, boom. You like what I did there? No, I'm just playing.
Yes.
No. But who and how did you meet Puppet Life? 'Cause the-
Yeah, so I don't know. We lost touch after that.
oh, okay.
That was several years ago now. So I don't know what he's up to these days, but his name is David Shockett and he adopted Puppet Life as we started to work together. We met each other through the Boston music scene. I grew up in Boston, and I would say ages 20 to 25-ish were when I started really figuring myself out as a songwriter and performer. And the Boston music community, I will love and appreciate forever because it was such a formative experience. And everyone was so wonderful and accepting. So he was just someone that I met at an open mic one time and got in touch with, and he did this incredible production work and I did this lyrical work, and it just created fire.
Yes, well, as these new kids, their terminology is that's a banger or a bop. I don't know any of these because all these kids are making up new terms and I
Yeah, I
banger
haven't
and bop.
heard banger or bop.
Well, my co-host is like 30 something, so he's all in. I'm 43. I'm old. Okay, so I don't know any of this new lingo, but yeah, banger and bop is like the new term for like awesome or cool.
Good to know.
Yeah,
Good to know.
I prefer awesome or like cool. You know, my language back in the day. You know, so yeah, that's awesome. So as of right now, you have 6 singles. Um, so the song that I really love listening to is "Limitless."
Thank you.
I find that so relaxing to listen to. And it's an uplifting song, and I think that it should be featured in like a movie because it sounds so uplifting. It could be like the back track of a protagonist going to better her life or something, you know. Have
Thank you. Thank
have,
you.
have you ever thought about like submitting your songs to like movies like be part of the soundtrack?
Yeah. So my song Thrivers, I don't know if you've heard
Yeah.
that one. That is the one that has been the most consistently featured and licensed. I don't know that I've submitted Limitless very often. There was a time when I thought I was going to completely dedicate myself to licensing. It seems like an incredible way to make money and be a musician at the same time. And I think it's something that I'll get back into. I don't know what it has been about the past few years, but in all of the things that I let go of or that kind of fell apart during COVID, that was one that just ended up completely on the back burner. So that is one of my second half of 2023 goals, is to really dive back into that, because I agree with you. I think my songs are very licensable and would
Yeah,
do very well in TV and film. So
yeah, definitely.
definitely want to be there.
Yeah, and I wonder if I wonder who you would have to submit it to. Like, 'cause I don't know anything about the movie business, obviously, but yeah. So,
It depends. The major motion picture that Thrivers has been in, that was through an agency. So somebody was a contact on behalf of the film looking for music, and I submit it through them. So I think that's probably the case for a lot of TV and film, that they'll either have a separate agency that finds people on behalf of the film, um, or there are what are called music supervisors, who's the one person or the team that is actually part of the film that you see on the credits that finds the music. So it's a matter of figuring out how to contact them. That's the big hurdle.
So going off the Limitless name, in your song Limitless, you have two websites. One is hanakahn.com, correct?
Yes.
And the other one is wearegoldenstars.com.
Yes.
So on your wearegoldenstars.com, you have a program called Limitless Life. Can you tell our listeners about that and how they can be part of?
Yes.
Yeah, because I really want to, because this is awesome. Yeah, so I just want to get the floor to you, and yeah.
So a very brief summary of the background that led to all of this. I have quite a history with mental health and with trauma, and I grew up with a lot of suicidal ideation and PTSD. I was in and out of the hospital, and I really did not think that I would make it. And it wasn't until I was 25, I ended up hospitalized, and it was coming out of that hospitalization that I finally was in the space to turn my life around. I created a life that I never thought was possible. I went so far beyond just working through suicidal ideation, working through PTSD, working with a trauma specialist and therapist. I had thought that if I ever did work through those things, that I would just get through life, and that would be it. Life would be tolerable, whatever. I'll probably be depressed. And in working through all of that, I found that life is limitless. I went from this space of having all of these diagnoses and difficult times for over a decade to asking myself the question, if I could be, do, or have anything in the world, what would that look like?
Right.
And when I started to really answer that question and take away the judgment, take away the idea that I can't do any of this, I started doing all of these things. I went on a national 65-day tour by myself. It's my first tour ever. I got my song licensed, Thrivers, in a major motion picture. I got my dream apartment. There's this whole list of external things that I can go through that are all incredible and worthwhile. And ultimately, I found a level of healing that I didn't know was possible. So I ended up creating the Limitless Life course because I started breaking down my process. People would ask me, how did you do this? You had a bipolar diagnosis. You were suicidal. How did you get to this space? And I went through the steps in my head, and I thought, okay, I have to share this in a way that's accessible to people. So that is what my We Are Golden Stars brand is. All of my social media under We Are Golden Stars, that's all mental health, motivation. And then if you're ready to take it to the next level, it's this mini course. It's 10 basically 3-minute videos that are these tiny doses of little things that you can do to get you toward what your limitless life looks like, and to navigate and change the belief systems that you have now to become the version of you that has everything you want and has healed in the way that you have wanted to, or maybe not even believed you could heal.
Yeah, because okay, so I watched your This One My Brave talk on your YouTube page, and I want to commend you and thank you for talking about some dark stuff, because not a lot of people talk about suicide and point A to B, point A to point B. And in your speech, it said that you thought that being successful would turn to bad stuff. Um, could you dive a little deeper in that? Because I think that's where a lot of people get the most get confused about, and I just wanted to point out that's not, if you become successful, uh don't think it's like a bad thing, you know. And I guess that's what we were trying to relay on your this is my brave um speech, right?
Yeah, yeah. I developed two sets of beliefs. One was that if I became successful, I would end my life. And one was if I wasn't successful, I would end my life. And that led me into such a spiral with mental health because either way, no matter what, I was headed toward ending my life. And the reason for that was when I was 16, I made this declaration: I want to be a successful, known throughout the world musician. Since I know I'm going to end my life, I've got to give myself a deadline by which I'm going to be that successful. And I chose 25 as the age. And each year that I would get closer to 25 and I wasn't famous yet, I wasn't known around the world, I wasn't sharing my music everywhere, I would say, oh my gosh, I've failed.
Oh,
I'm never going to be successful. Um, and then when I would get closer and closer to success throughout those years, I would make sure that success didn't happen because my brain said, oh, but as soon as I reach success, that's when I end my life. That's the deadline that I gave myself. I correlated the two. So no matter what, I just kept falling down, and that hospitalization that happened when I was just under 25 was because I hit rock bottom, realizing that I hadn't hit this mark, this one goal that I'd given to myself. By 25, I'm going to have XYZ, and realizing at 24 and 11 months that I wasn't going to have that, I ended up in the hospital. I was in this really beautiful position to start figuring out what I wanted from life at that point because I hadn't pictured what life would look like beyond 25. So once I turned 25, suddenly it was almost a blank slate that came with all of my PTSD and mental health issues,
right.
and a blank slate where I could really think about what I wanted to do with my life. I think success leading to trauma and leading to depression is something that we don't talk about enough because it's normal whether you struggle with mental health or not. It's so normal and happens to everyone to feel afraid of success. And that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to be scared, to feel scared. It's not a bad thing to have parts of you come up around success and failure. It's just understanding at the end of the day that those are just parts of you, that you can choose to move toward the things that you want to move toward. And you get to see what happens from there. I can't say that I can guarantee you won't feel depressed or that it will work out with certainty. Can't guarantee either of those things. And the going for it is going to move you through the fear. You can hold that fear next to you and continue to make strides.
Yeah. So why was the age of 25 so like, why did you pick 25 when you could have picked like 43 or 56?
As a musician, I think society's getting better and better about this because of platforms like TikTok and Instagram, where we see people of any age, we see musicians of any age. Before that, it was you were told that as a musician, you needed to make it during your youth. You would see celebrities who suddenly would become irrelevant once they got to 30. I remember reading a book about Katy Perry, and it said that she decided if she hadn't made it by 25 she was going to not end her life, but give up on that,
Right.
go get married or something, whatever
Have kids or
her
whatever.
version of that was.
Yeah. Right.
And so I think that probably had a really big part to play in my choosing 25 as an age. It's like after that, the world was over. I was no longer young and would never be a famous musician.
Right. Right. So when you were performing with Phantom of the Opera and Bye Bye Birdie, and all these fabulous very awesome musicals, um I guess you were like, okay, why am oh, I find that to be majorly successful in my eyes, becoming a lead role in those uh Phantom of the Opera. You were lead there, and we worked at Fiddler on the Roof, and all these. Did you find it? Was that not the success that you were looking for? Like, or
I
like,
was so attached at the time to needing to be successful on a grand worldwide scale that anything anything that small, I saw it as small. I
okay,
definitely was excited and I was doing really cool things, but at the time, it's like everything that I did that wasn't clearly leading me toward fame, it was just this evidence that that level of success wasn't going to happen, even if it was, like you said, actually a very successful
yeah.
and wonderful thing to do.
'Cause 99.9 people would agree with. I mean, like, because when you're entertaining a lot of people, like, because musicals bring in a whole lot of people, and I don't think people realize how much that people are seeing you. I find that to be very successful. But I do know that the brain will play mind tricks on you. Depression is a real thing, and just because it feels like successful to somebody else might not be successful in your eyes, or what your brain is telling you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So we do have two or three more. Okay, so I know that you have 6 singles out right now. Are you planning to release a full album, or are you just going with the singles, right? Because I find more and more stars, because you're a star in my eyes,
Thank
uh,
you.
are going the singles route now, because it's too of much of a longevity to release an album, So I find more.
I
Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
go ahead.
I know. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine.
um I am definitely going to release an album.
Okay, great.
I The songs Thrivers and Limitless were originally from an album that I was going to release in summer of 2020, and I hadn't finished working on it. Those were the two songs that I had finished and released as singles. And for one reason or another, the past few years, I haven't been able to get back to that album, but it is very, very much my intention to release it. And I'm sure I'll release a couple singles along the way because, as you said, singles, they're important. They really are.
Singles is where that now, because a lot of bands are releasing singles, and I find that to be more special, I guess. Because when you're a fan, you're like, okay, well, I don't want to wait a whole another year for a new album. We'll bring on more singles, and I guess a lot of bands are doing that now.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
which is great, which is great. Um, okay, so I do have one last question for you, and then we'll let you go. This might be the hardest question I've asked you today. I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna be hard, but so well, I got two questions. Okay, so this podcast is called "When Words Fail, Music Speaks," right? And that can be anything further from the truth. Is there like an artist, a band, or a album that you can listen to like day after day and night after night, but you can't tell me or your boyfriend or your friend how it makes you feel deep inside your soul? It's so ingrained in your body.
Wow, that is That's a very good question.
Uh,
It definitely depends on my mood and what I'm
Yes,
looking to feel, or the experience that I need to have.
right.
Um, there's a band called Sleeping at Last,
Ooh,
and I I love them anytime that I'm feeling disconnected from myself. I won't necessarily listen to a particular album, but I'll often shuffle Sleeping at Last radio on Spotify. They're probably my go-to artists.
nice, nice. Yeah, cause I have a few, and it just gets me out of the mood, Cause when I'm depressed, I'm like, okay, I'll listen to Eric Church or Luke Combs, and they get me right out. I don't know what it is about it, It's just music does something to everybody's soul, I guess, in different
Yeah.
ways.
Yes.
Very be awesome. So all of our listeners can find Hana at Facebook on Hana Kahn Official, Instagram at Hana Kahn Official, and on YouTube. I will link the link at the bottom. And now, okay, so this is my brave. Or can anybody reach out to them and say I want to like speak up for myself? Because I know that's a
Yeah.
where everybody can uh can share their story.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'll say a couple of things and I'll send you the links for them. I'm not super active on Facebook these days. So TikTok, at Hana Kahn Official as well is the place to reach me. Anything mental health based for me, my coaching, my community, my course, wearegoldenstars.com or at We Are Golden Stars on all the platforms. In terms of This Is My Brave, I highly encourage, if you feel comfortable or ready to share a part of your story, to get involved with them. They are a mental health organization that is dedicated to increasing awareness of mental health struggles, mental illness, and addiction. And the way that they do this is through these live performances where you'll get up on stage and you can either share your story by speaking, which is what I love to do, but it's meant for anything creative. If you have poetry, if you want to dance, if you want to sing, it's an incredible organization to be a part of. And thisismybrave.org will tell you everything you need to know.
One more question: Who is your
Yeah.
favorite artist right now?
Oh gosh. Oh
I put you on
gosh.
the put you on the spot.
You did. I'm
I
gonna
did.
give them a shout out because I love them so much. My friends just dropped their debut album a
Nice.
couple of days ago. Their band is called Hands of Spite. They're very Nirvana
Oh my
vibe.
God. I,
So
I
I'll tell everyone to go listen to them.
Nirvana. Oh my God. That's yes, yes. Great. All right. Cool. Cool. Yeah. So and I'm gonna reach out to him because I really want to talk to them too. Um,
Yeah. Yes.
I do love you. I'm so glad you're still here with us, even though you've had some bad experiences in life. And I hope that we can remain friends. And if you need me to do anything for you, whether it's promote anything for you, please let me know. And like I said before, you can find her at Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok is her main thing. Facebook, she's not really active right now. But, she'll be with you shortly whenever she can. So everybody, have a great afternoon, and always remember, when words fail, music speaks. Bye, guys.